Good morning, guys. It's a beautiful Friday morning, and the cold weather is coming this way to Dallas. Yep, you heard me correctly. The cold weather is coming to Dallas, but it appeared to be in Tennessee already. And I have my good friend Sherry Chester joining us this morning out of Tennessee. I saw you had snow, Miss Sherry.
Oh, we did. It was glorious. We played out in it. We drove around in it. We welcomed it. You know, there's something about snow coming at you through the windshield or on your face. It's so big. It's so wonderful. Felt refreshing. So I hope you get wonderful snow flurries.
Nice. So what we get in Dallas is somewhat a light concept that those in Tennessee would say is a joke. And then I'm going over to my friend Sabrina Williams. You're in Chicago. What kind of cold you guys get there in Chicago?
No, it's really cold here. So I'll take that Dallas cold any day and that Tennessee snow. We don't have a lot of snow, but it's just cold. So we're used to it.
Well, we know those of you guys that are watching us, you know Chicago don't play when it comes to cold. Chicago don't play. Well, I'm so glad. I feel so good this morning to be joined with these two beautiful ladies to talk about how we can position ourselves to win in 2021. How you guys doing first and foremost? How are you all? And then tell our viewing audience a little bit about yourselves.
I'm doing good. Again, I'm Sabrina from Chicago, and I am a children's ministry leader. So I started a children's ministry here in Chicago because we need it. But I also started a for-profit business called Innovative Ideas this year. And so I'm kind of helping ministries and business get off their feet. And so that's been going really well. So I've been effective in that area. So I'm glad to be here, Ricardo, with you this morning.
All right. 8 days in. Sherry Chester, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're at right now.
Okay, loving the fact that we are 8 days in. I know there was not a magic rollover where everything became well, but it was a fresh opportunity to say, I'm going to do this different and better, and I'm going to design a life that I love. So as a writer, speaker, mentor, I am enjoying the new design, and I believe it is going to be grand. I think it already has been. I love some of the wins I've seen in the first 8 days, and I'm excited about 2021. So you can connect with me at sherrychester.com.
Nice. Well, this year, I want our viewing audience, they know those of you guys are following Effective Living. Do me a favor and share for me, please. Tag somebody, because this is going to be a very, very encouraging video that's going to challenge you to not dim your light. Now, I want to dive right into our talk, because we have people all over watching us, and there will be a lot of other people watching the rerun. But this whole idea of shining, we know last year, 2020, was a overwhelming year in so many ways. A global pandemic hit us, and persons saw what they've never experienced before. I mean, none of us have experienced this type of what we're experiencing, or what we experienced in 2020. We're coming to some form of acceptance of certain things, but the talk of shining still, how important is that? Because we are believers, and we've been given a mandate to let our light shine. But it's a pandemic. Can we still shine?
Yes, we can absolutely still shine, and the shine looks different for everyone. But part of shining, and Coach, this is one of the things I think Effective Living drives home so well. So I want to help reiterate that this morning is we shine every moment of every hour of every day. We do it in these really small steps where we can say, this is a win. We set our personal goals, and then we march toward those things, but we get our eyes off of ourselves. We look at how we can help someone else, how we can make the world a better place. And that's how we shine. Yes, there are devastating things going on that really just absolutely have broken my heart this week, that I do not understand. However, I know that we're going to be okay. I can promise everyone watching that we're going to be okay because God promises that we will be okay. He says, in this world we'll have tribulation, but be of good cheer because I have overcome the world. So let me tell you what, I am speaking with two overcomers. We are speaking to overcomers, and that's how we let our light shine.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I agree, because one of the things that I learned about 2020 is that your purpose don't stop just because it's a pandemic. Actually, the pressure of the pandemic makes you go full force into your purpose, and then that's how you shine. Because if you're walking in what God has called you to do, then people will see you. How are you still, praising God? How are you still happy? How are you still going full force? It's not that we don't have trials and tribulations, because we know that we will. It's just that when you're walking in the path that God has told you to walk in, then that extra glory that He just gives you and that anointing that He gives you to do what you're supposed to do, it just illuminates the whole room, even when you go in there. And so we're supposed to change the atmospheres. And so if we're atmosphere changes, that doesn't stop. We can't act gloomy like everyone else and complain like everyone else and feel hopeless like everyone else, because we have the greatest hope in us.
Ooh, that was good.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Sherry Chester and Sabrina Williams, and these two ladies, guys, they're going to bless us today. Do me a favor, tag someone, share. I think this morning's conversation, there are people who are like, thank God it's Friday. I'm pushing this year. Thank God it's another day. Yeah. And a new day is an opportunity to begin again. Sherry, let's talk about this. Let's dive into the whole term of challenging yourself to do it again. Challenging yourself, the commitment not to quit, the commitment to go hard. Let's talk about challenging yourself and how important is that at this particular junction, because there are some people who have come into 2021 already, and they don't realize they're already doing what they've been doing, and they're not going to get a different result if they don't challenge themselves. You want to talk to us about that?
Yes, I do, because I think it's so fresh and so very real for me. I didn't really get ahead of 21 in the sense of, 2 weeks beforehand, I was making all of these plans. I was thinking, I was evaluating, but on your Build Your Best Year webinar that you did, you brought forth some very pivotal points. Yeah. And it was things that I knew, but I thought, man, I've not even stopped to write down what those incremental daily goals are. And I'm a real big picture person. I'm very good at starting at the first and making it to the last, but sometimes I bog down in the day-to-day or the hour-to-hour. And so I approached it very differently. I think we do ourselves a favor when we will look at things by the hour, by the day, to write those things down, and not just in one area, but what are you doing spiritually, physically? What are you doing to improve your family? What are you doing to improve your business? What are you doing to enjoy the day? I mean, I have some friends here from Texas, and it was snowing, and we'd gotten on Facebook Marketplace last night because I'm still furnishing some things, and around here people sell great stuff on Marketplace. We were running around the car outside gathering up things in the snow. You have to stop and enjoy life. But in that same hour, I was editing a book. I had, made several event posts and had done other things. So the beauty of life is you can experience it all when you know where you're headed.
I like that, Sherry. Ladies and gentlemen, follow Sherry Chester. You got to go ahead and subscribe to her YouTube channel and all that good stuff. Sabrina, we've moved from challenging ourselves in 2021. How about being hard on yourself? A little bit harder, because, sometimes we don't go as hard as we need to on ourselves. And sometimes we're a little bit, not showing up. But the reality of it is, a pandemic can take you out. And in these changing times, you got to have that relentless, determining spirit that says, I'm coming for mine, How important is it for one to be hard on themselves? People will be hard on you, and you got to know how to manage that. But how important is it to be hard on yourself?
It's very important to be hard on yourself because you have to be honest with yourself. I know you talked about a lot of webinars that I watch about the habits that you have, and you have to be honest about the habits that you have. And if you're not getting the results that you want, it's because your habits aren't good. And so you have to be the first person to tell yourself that you don't get it together. Because we're quick to tell somebody else they don't have it together, but that self-examination is so key. And so if I want to see something different, I got to do something different. And so it might as well be honest with yourself before somebody else is honest with you. And so I think that really evaluating what you're doing, what you want to accomplish, like Sherry said, knowing that beginning and end is good, but it's that middle part. You know, what habits do I have that doesn't make me get to the finish line the way I want to? We might get to the finish line, but did we do it in a manner that we really wanted to do it in? And so being able to really reflect on yourself, you know, look back at 2020, this is a great year. People always make resolutions, but they're over by the end of the week. Don't make those resolutions, make life changes. You know, what do I need to change in my life to make me better? And have a conversation with yourself.
Make life changing changes. Okay, life changing changes. I was doing some study on a series of habits that I'm about to work on goal setting, and one of the points that I wrote down was, don't focus so much on goals as much as you focus on establishing the right habits. If you create the right habits will make goals easy. You know, but if you have a lot of bad habits will push your goals aside every time. The bad habits of eating right, the bad habit of spending unmonitored, the bad habit of sleeping late, the bad habit of procrastinating. If you could get bad habits under control and make good habits, let me tell you something, your goals will be so much easier to accomplish. Sherry, let's talk about raising your standards. You know, I heard one of my coaches said a few years ago, if you want a better life, raise your standards. And that's really where it's at. Every month, if a person raised their standard, every year, if a person raised their standard, in a few years or in a few months, you wouldn't know that person. How important is it for a person to commit this year to raising their standard?
Oh, I think it's critically important. But I think sometimes when we say that, people are like, okay, that sounds really great, but what does that look like? So let's just give some real practical examples here of when you raise the standard. If you want a different lifestyle in your home, then you need to go sit in a hotel, a home, a showroom, something that has a different caliber of furniture or decor or an element that speaks to what it is you desire. You go sit in an environment that maybe you do not have, but that you want, because if you can dream it, you can achieve it, but you've got to be able to see yourself in that dream, in that setting, in that arena. You know, I got tickled. The friends that are here from Texas, they were like, now, how did you put this house together in this number of weeks? I said, well, I had this board on my phone. I had these pictures. Here's what I knew I was looking for. But see, I'd stopped to take that time. Now, I used just something real practical out of a home and decorating because that's something that falls in my enjoyable list. Let's move that over to our vocation and our profession. If you want a different position, if you want a different lifestyle for what you're working, if you want to write that book, if you want to be able to run in a particular circle of people who are influencers, then you start building that life. You start making those connections. You start studying them. What are the habits they have that look different than yours? Then you start small. It may not look pretty. It may not look as polished as you want it to.
That's right.
But so many people never start. In 2021, jumpstart yourself. Even if you think it is not perfect or polished, if you want to raise the standard, so many times people knock themselves out of the race because they hardly get started, and then they get timid. Oh, this is too hard. Oh, mine doesn't look the same. Thank goodness yours does not look the same. You raise the standard, you be unique. We need what you bring to the table. Look at where you want to go, and then thank God for being unique and enjoy that journey of making it better every day, every week, every month. And then at the end of the year, you'll say, wow, God has changed me in some phenomenal ways. But
Yes.
here's something that, and Sabrina, I know you agree because we've heard Coach Ricardo say it, but I probably had to hear it 50 times before I really believed it. You know, God does promise all those things, but we do have to put in the work. It does not just magically happen. And as believers, I think that I probably was in the camp that thought, okay, I can work to this extent and past this. God is going to do it. And I thought, God rewards our work, our ethic, our effort. He gave us character and integrity. We do our part, and then he opens up windows and doors of favor that no person can shut. But, you know, he is looking for us to raise our own standard because he says nothing is impossible with him.
Yes. He said nothing is impossible with him. However, we have a responsibility, ladies and gentlemen. We have an obligation to raise the standard. And let me tell you something. It's not a self-centered thing to raise the standard. As a matter of fact, it really helps you to shine your light even brighter so that people will be able to say, look what God is doing in Sabrina's life. Look what God is doing in Sherry's life. And then you say, all honor and glory go to God. If it is him that allows me to live, breathe, and do what I do. You know, Sabrina, the term respect yourself. Going into 2021, this idea that I want all that God has for me, you know, I've been declaring 2021 is the year for winning in every area. And so nothing missing, lacking, or broken. There are people watching today. You know, sometimes we think about just winning by getting the degree. Sometimes we just win it, you know, if we can get the car, if we can get this type of paycheck. But the reality of it is there is so much more. And effective living requires you to understand you don't want just a piece of the pie. You want the full pie, right?
Right.
God will give you all that belongs to you. Why just get partial? Why just get part? So respect yourself to go all the way. How important is it for a person to respect themselves, to give themselves to humanity in every way?
That's so key. And when you talked about you're saying nothing missing, nothing lacking, that's actually shalom, which we only use peace, but it's really wholeness, nothing missing and nothing lacking. So I always self-examine what's disturbing my peace. Because whatever is disturbing my peace is usually something that's disrupting me, or I feel like I'm not being respected in some way or manner. So whether that's a person, whether that's a job that I'm at, whether that's how things are running in my household, we have to not allow people to treat us in a manner that we don't want to treat them. And it usually comes with that. Usually we get that built up when we have people in our lives who we are being complacent with, instead of demanding to be treated in the manner that we want to be treated. And so we have to be bold enough to say that, you know, we can't be timid if we're going after what God wants us to have, you know, because there's some doors that we want to go through that we're just knocking on politely. And God has said, no, I give you the door, open it up and go in. But if you don't have that self-respect, you don't have that self-esteem of who you are, who God called you to be, you'll never be bold enough to do that. And so it has to start with you. You have, after you self-examine yourself and figure it out and work on those things, but then look at the things God has given you. Sherry talked about being unique. Don't compare yourself to someone else. That's disrespecting the gifts and talents that God gave you. And so walk in everything that you have, and then make people respect you in that manner. And I think sometimes as Christians we feel like that's being rude, but it's not being rude. You know, when Jesus came on the scene, you know, he did what he had to do and people honored and respect him. And so we have to be able to do the same thing.
I totally agree. Listen, the whole comparison thing, 2021 is not the year for comparison. Okay. Listen, write that in the chat right now. 2021 is not the year for comparison. What is the year? What is this year? This is the year to win. And let me tell you something, the clock is ticking. The clock, hey, days are expensive. A day wasted is a day you'll never have again. And you got to tell yourself, you are in a lane all by yourself. And you're going to be call to give an account for what you have been given that is supposed to be served to humanity. The question is, how hard are you going to give yourself to your days? Telling yourself, I'm not going to allow anything to stop me from becoming my best self. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking this morning with two incredible ladies who are crushing it. Every day they're making a commitment to give their best self to humanity. And I wanted them to come on this platform and encourage you to simply look at certain things and remind yourself you are working on you to live life effectively. Now going back to Sherry, I was thinking about, as Sabrina was talking, that there are people who don't realize that there are deficiencies and flaws, areas of their life that really is not together, and they have not accepted their flaws. They have not accepted their deficiencies. They have not even taken the time to study themselves and say, okay, this is where I'm great, but this is where I struggle. And this is where I'm going to need help. How important is it for a person to address that this year if they're going to win?
If we're going to win, we have to be honest with ourselves. It's almost like when we talk to God. If we're not honest with God about what's going on, then our prayers are not getting answered quickly. If we are not honest with ourselves about where we're strong and where we need help or improvement, there is no win. There's deceit, and then there's just this open crater area where we can fall into more weakness. And so when we look at, like, the 5 to 7 different areas of our life, it's not hard to self-examine. It's real quick just to go down each area and say, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, where am I at? And with women in leadership, we are really focusing on that this month.
Good.
Where are you at? How are you doing? Where do you want to improve? And so I can just go through all 7 areas that I have put as a focus this year, and I can rank it pretty easy, 1 to 10. And then I'm like, here are the 3 areas that I'm good at in my spiritual walk. Here are areas that I need to improve in. At work, I excel in these 3 areas. And I can look over here and say, oh, but I am going to improve, that perhaps it's with consistency or follow through, or doing those things that seem a little scary. Whatever it is that you kind of shy away from, if you identify, it can no longer control you. And I think that's worth repeating. If you can identify an area that needs improvement, you have already won half the battle, because now it can't control you. If you're not a numbers person and you have trouble with budget, and you can own that and say, oh, I may need some help establishing a Mr. Budget, or I may need help. I can't even imagine investing. What does that look like? There are people that want to help you. There are small baby steps to get an emergency fund, to do these things. But you have to at least admit where you are on the way to where you're going. That in itself is a win. But if we're not honest with ourselves, that deceit can cause us not only to have a repeat of 2020 and everyone should be going like this. We don't want a repeat of 2020. Okay. But if we can't own where our shortcomings are, we're going to have that look in the mirror when we have not changed. So the best way to love and respect ourselves is to say, I am good in these areas. Here's areas where I need help, and I'm going to go find people to help me. Own it, embrace it. It will no longer control you.
That is so good. That is so good, Miss Sherry. One of the things that really helped me a few years ago was when I was able to start to say I'm not good at everything. And accepting the fact that I didn't need to feel bad about it, because nobody is good at everything. And I had to, and it didn't even matter if someone was good at everything, because we know someone who feels as though they're good at everything, right? But I had to accept the fact that I'm not good at everything and that I'm going to need help. that I'm going to need help. If you guys are watching us, listen, please share and tag and invite someone to watch this. You know, there were a lot of people in 2020. I mean, everything felt down for them. It felt dark. It felt just like it was not working out. And now we've all made it to 2021. And I'm talking with these two ladies about things one can do to make sure they position themselves to win. I want to move on, and I want to ask Sabrina about this need to seek knowledge. You know, when Sherry talks about not knowing and getting to know, then there is this need to acquire the appropriate information. So this seeking knowledge, you know, the Bible teaches us, study to show yourself approved, a workman that need not be ashamed, rightly dividing. This is what I'm good at. This is what I'm not good at. Rightly dividing. This is what I'm called to do. This is what I'm not called to do. How important is it to become informed in living life effectively and winning overall?
That is so important. You know, a long time ago, I was studying the scripture when it says gift comes without repentance. And so a lot of people will just walk in their gifts and they'll be okay that they'll be able to do it. It's just a natural born thing that they're able to do that someone else can't. But the scripture that I really love is that those who seek wisdom, God will give it to them liberally. It's like the wisdom of how to use their gift makes the difference. And so we have to invest in ourselves and get the training, get the coaching, read the books that we need to do to sharpen that skill that sets us apart from anyone else doing it. You know, there's a lot of people who can do hair. There's a lot of people who can do nails, but you know the ones who are like really extremely gifted. Even in the Bible, when God was calling for people, he said, go get the skilled laborers, you know, not just the ones that do the work. Go get the skilled ones because they have what I need to get it to what I wanted to do. And a lot of times, Ricardo, we're just lazy in that manner. We don't invest in ourselves. We invest more in the cable bill, the cell phone bill, the clothes, and not that those things are not necessary. But if it's not taking you to the level where you need to go, then that's not where you need to invest yourself and your time in. And so I learned as I'm continuing to grow that in helping people, as you go up in leadership, because I know you talked about not being the smartest person in the room, but as you go up in leadership, leaders become more specialists. They surround themselves with smart people, right? What I'm not capable to do, but what I'm specialized in, you're not capable to do it in the way that I'm specialized in. That's why I'm the leader of it. And so that's why it's important to be able to keep growing so those who are following you grow with you. And so they move up, you move up. They move up, you move up. And we just got to do better than that this year. We cannot spend more time in front of a TV than we do in a book, in training, and whatever we need to do to grow.
That is so good. Listen, become a skilled laborer in the kingdom. Become a skilled laborer and then aim to go to the front of the line. Aim to go and be the head. Aim to go and be, you know what I'm saying, the lender. Aim to be that whatever you put your hands to prosper because of your level of skill. You know, the Bible says, add to your faith knowledge. Oh, my goodness. So Sabrina, you're so right on. Shout out to all of you guys who are following us on YouTube. If you haven't been following us and subscribing to my YouTube channel, you're missing out. And I got a bunch of incredible things that's coming out on YouTube during the month. And so listen, subscribe to the channel. It's Effective Living with Ricardo Miller. And then put on your notification and just watch it all. Watch it all. Good content that's going to challenge you to win. Remember, write this in the chat, guys. 2021 is the year for winning in every area. Okay? Jason Baston, 2021. Annie Dada, that's my auntie. Listen, I see Naomi Nottage is on YouTube. See, we got people watching on YouTube, guys, live on YouTube. Sherry, we're in 2021. But there are people who have carried the bondage of 2020, 2019, 2018, 2017, 2016, They've been carrying these past years into their new years. There are persons who have just not accepted the fact that, listen, it happened. And you don't need to keep carrying with you because it limits you from winning. Because my goal is to help people to realize your goal to win. I want to win. I want to win. But if you keep carrying your past should be left behind. Past you should have already studied and extract the lesson from. If you keep carrying that, it can become the thing that becomes your weight. Talk to us about burning your past, the important means of burning that weight and leaving that behind.
I love the fact that you use that, because the first thing that comes to my mind is, many of us have gone through the exercise of writing down our sins, things that have tormented us or bothered us. We've either wadded it up and thrown it in a trash can, or we have, literally set it on fire with a lighter to watch it, burn up in smoke and be total ashes to where we cannot reconstruct it.
Yes.
It's like when we're driving, the windshield is so much larger than the rear view mirror. It is great to learn from the past, but typically if thoughts come into your mind, then it is anything to help you win. If you have to keep going back to the past to quote, repent again or relive it or think, oh, that was so hurtful, or oh, that was a depriving moment and it hurt me, then it's time to just say, God, here it is. I let it go. Forgive yourself for your part of it. Forgive the other people, because they can't repay whatever happened. They cannot make it right for you, for me, for us. So we have to let go of any type of injustice that we believe that we have experienced, because otherwise we're robbing today of its victories. We're robbing tomorrow of a beautiful future. So we look forward. The Apostle Paul says, I look forward. I run the race. He was running his race. He wasn't running the race of Luke or Matthew or anyone else. He ran his race, and what a phenomenal race it was. You have a phenomenal race to run. You do have to stop thinking about what you did right. Some people live in their glory days. They get stuck there. Oh, I was personality plus in high school, and 40 years later, they're still telling that story. Getting stuck in their past of their glory days. That's great. But if you're having to go back 40 years for something, time to have a new victory. So see if we can get stuck in the past, both good and bad. It is great. And periodically, I have an accomplishments box, and I will pull it out and I will celebrate it. But I'm telling you what, if your past has something negative, you say, okay, it was negative. It was not good. Here's what I learned. And then you take that and move forward. I learned to be kind to myself. I learned that I can forgive people, but they do not have to have a voice in my life. Ooh, that is good. That's how we walk forward. We learn the lesson. We embrace the present. We can do this one step at a time.
Wow.
That's good.
That is so good, so rich. Hey, guys, watch this again. Tag someone and say, you got to watch this, man. These ladies who Ricardo have on this morning, they're dropping. And you can go to YouTube and you can watch this stuff again and again and again, and subscribe to the channel and put it where you need to put it on your phone. Save the video to listen. But now we're bringing it in. And there's just so much little things we can do to make 2021 the year where we're winning in every area of our life. I want to talk to Sabrina, because in 2020, when the pandemic hit, persons found themselves at home by themselves. They found themselves not being able to go to these small group meetings. They weren't able to go to their bowling league, their Toastmasters meeting. They could not go to the gym. You know what I'm saying? We had community in a way that literally was totally disrupted. And there were some people, everything that they were used to, they couldn't connect to. But I found that 2020 was the year that I found a way to become my own best friend. Learning how to love me just for being me and all by myself. So, oh, nobody came by my place. Nobody called me. Nobody texted me. I don't have any friends. Well, how about being a friend to yourself? How about starting there? Sabrina, talk to us about that in 2021. Because remember now, we're talking about winning in every area of our lives. And listen, you want others to love you, but you haven't taken the time to love yourself. Come on. You
Yeah.
don't even know you enough. How important is it for you to be your own best friend?
It's so important because if you can't stand to spend time with yourself, other people really tolerating you on other things. And so you have to be able to be the person to yourself that you are looking for other people to be to. Sometimes we're looking for other people to fulfill something that is really for us to fulfill in ourselves. And so getting to know yourself, and that is one of the first steps, I think, into all the other discussions that we had about respect, self-examining yourself, seeking knowledge, all those different things. If you don't know who you are, you can't really self-examine yourself. You can't really challenge yourself to do better because you don't know which area of yourself that you don't like. And so I do know a lot of people during the coronavirus, they was like, oh, I found out I like scrambled eggs. Well, you didn't notice this whole time that you like scrambled eggs because you just haven't spent that time by yourself. And I think if anything, hopefully the world opens up more, but don't lose that quality time that you had with God and yourself. I think that's one of the things that we really got out of this pandemic. And so love yourself, discover who you are in yourself, and then you'll be able to accomplish so much more. And you'll just be a happier person. So many people are not just filled with joy, just the simple everyday life of joy. I think that's one of the things that the pandemic also showed is that people, when they were just isolated by themselves, they lost their joy. But you got to be able to find that joy within yourself. And find the things that you like. That was really like God putting us on pause and say, seek me. Yes. Okay, where are you at? Let's self-examine where you are and let's be able to flow where we want to be. So you can't have that effective living life if you don't know who you are in each area of your life you need to grow in.
Come on, you got to know who you are. And that's going to take work. You're going to have to study you. You can live for a long time and never took the time to study you and only accepted what someone else said of you in their observation. Okay? And in their observation could be based on what your culture, what previous generations have taught you and you have held on to, but you still did not do the work to discover you. And the truth is, there could be so much in you that nobody took the time to identify, including yourself. And now you find yourself living but not winning. I come against that in the name of Jesus.
Yeah, and Pastor Carter, can I say this? That's how so many people end up not in their purpose.
Yes.
Because they take self-inventory from somebody else's perspective.
Yes.
And not their own perspective. So someone tell you you're good at that, and so you go full force with that, and you're not happy. And then somebody tell you you're good at that, and you go full force with that, and you're not happy. And so you spend all these years doing what other people told you to do instead of fulfilling your own purpose.
Man, you are so right on it. Sherry, it is said life is hard, excuses are easy. Okay? Life is hard, excuses are easy. Ladies and gentlemen, write that down. And make a note of it. Life is hard, excuses are easy. How important it is for a person to realize, life is going to challenge you. None of us are going to be exempt from a test. Okay? Life, and some of us go through the same test year in and year out without making a commitment. I'm going to pass this test this year. Enough is enough. No more bad credit. Come on. No more paycheck to paycheck living. I am not going from sickness to sickness and crisis to crisis and problems to problems. Life is hard. Excuses are easy. What are your thoughts on that, Ms. Sherry?
I think those excuses are easy is the reason they spent 40 years in the wilderness. Think about it. Sometimes we keep speaking the same things over our life that keeps us in a rut when all we have to do is make the change. But yet we have bought into the fact that an excuse makes it all right. We think, for instance, if we're late to a meeting, there was traffic. Actually, that's not true. You failed to plan appropriately.
Yes.
You did not
Yes.
leave enough margin in your
Yep.
life,
Yes.
enough space. You either
Yes.
did not lay out your clothes, you did not
Yep.
warm up your car fast
Yep.
enough, you did not plan for traffic. And yet
Yep.
we think it's okay to say, oh, it was the traffic's fault. Yeah, I mean, this
Yes.
goes all the way back to Adam and Eve. We
Yes.
know to fight this. We have been at the blame game
Yes. For a
since the
long time.
beginning,
Yes.
practically the beginning of
Yes.
time. And so
Yep.
we have to own that.
Yes.
You know, even this morning, to be honest, I was having some technical difficulty getting on. I started out at a particular time, a different website, and a different search engine kept knocking me off.
Yep.
It would have been more comfortable coming in here had I backed that up another 5 or 10
Yep.
minutes. That is not on anyone else but me. And I was real quick to say, oh, it's me. You know, I did even before the show started because I thought, ooh, that is an area I will build more margin in even tomorrow morning. So,
Yep.
you know, there again, if you can own it, we've talked about that already. If you can own it, you can fix it. You can do better.
Yep.
Excuses are not a reason to stay in your current situation or your current standard of living. Excuses are a mere cop out to say, I don't want to do the work. If you are listening to this broadcast, that's not who you are, because you're listening to something called effective living. Let go of the excuses and own it. I love some of the things we've said here this morning. Ricardo, Sabrina had touched on. Follow peace. You know, find your joy. I'll tell you what, if you are following peace and you're experiencing joy, you can own it when you make a mistake. There are people who are like, oh, I should have been on 5 or 10 minutes early. I am so bad. And then it ruins the rest of their day. I can say that because I spent years being so critical of myself that I could not even experience the win. What did I do this? I was like, oh, I'll do better. But it was me. Okay. That is how we keep moving to our day. We're not saying that you are living perfectly every moment of every hour of every day. What we're saying for an effective life is you make the most of the moment, you learn, and then you're like, oh, what is next? Full of joy, full of peace, full of expectancy, full of hope. You want to have an effective life, change your mindset, change your words, own the fact that excuses are not a part of who you are.
Ooh, come on, Sherry. That was a bomb. That was a bomb. Excuses is not a part of who I am. Say that with me in the chat for me, please. Can I get a dozen of you guys to say that? Excuses is not a part of who I am. Okay, I'm going to live my life above excuses. Woo! 2021 is the year for winning in every area, and I'm going to live my life above excuses. Sabrina, close us out with this whole idea. Keep moving forward. Listen, no matter what, keep moving forward, inch by inch if necessary. Small baby steps if necessary. Keep your eyes focused in front of you as necessary, but no matter what, your goal is to win in 2021. Sabrina, talk to us about this whole idea of keep moving it forward, and then I'm going to have you both give us a closing remark at the end.
Yeah, it's important to keep moving forward because you could start off on a high note and feel like everything is going well, and then something unpredictable can happen to you. We all experienced that just in 2020. And so if you have a clear vision, which is very important, you have to have a clear vision of where you're going and where you want to be. And if you have that somewhere in front of you, that you see it every day, and then you know that this is the direction that I'm going in. And so even when something happens in your life, you go back and look at that and you evaluate and say, no, I'm still going towards that. It's like pressing towards the mark that Paul is always talking about. And so that's having those steps in place. That's having those talks to yourself. That's getting that coaching. That's getting that mentoring. That's having someone where iron sharpens iron. When you do feel like you can't do it yourself, that you have someone that can encourage you, that you trust with your vision. Because we know everyone can't take your baby before it's born. You have to be able to have that person that you can discuss with it, and so that you can continue to go on, because you will start making those excuses of why you can't do it. You know, when hard times come, we'll lay in the bed of complacency because the excuses told us you couldn't do it. So we can't lay in the bed of complacency. We got to get up every day knowing yesterday might not have been a good moment, because I like to think of it. I don't have bad days. I just might have a moment in that day was bad.
Right.
And if I
Yes.
think of it like that, then I know it's 24 hours in this day. So I maybe had 2 hours bad. I got 22 more that's good. I'm going to work with the 22 I got. And so just keep going with that. You have to have those different mindsets that will encourage you to keep going forward, because the enemy don't want you to win.
No.
You know, you can keep saying I'm gonna have a winning year all you want to, but if you don't do something to make you have a winning year, the enemy will put you back in the same box you was last year. And so you have to conform your mindset and say, I have to look at things differently in order to move forward.
Wow. Ladies, y'all have given me your morning, Friday morning. Y'all got up early, y'all challenged. How many of you guys have enjoyed these two ladies? Please put a comment in the chat. Those of you guys following us, I see Minister Carol Crockett is following us on YouTube. Thank you for subscribing to the channel, Ms. Carol. If you have not subscribed to Effective Living with Coach Ricardo Miller on YouTube, subscribe now, okay? And for those of you here on Facebook, put on the notification button. We're going to be dropping stuff like this more frequently, and most of it is on YouTube though. And then for those of you on Twitter, my Twitter people, love and appreciate you all. Ladies, could you all just share something with our viewing audience as to how they can stay in contact with you all? I know, Sherry, you're doing a live conversation tomorrow on YouTube. Give us a couple minutes about that, and then Sabrina, give us some thoughts on how persons can get in contact with you.
Okay, yes. You know, YouTube is the new television of 2021. And so you may join us, me, every Saturday morning, Women in Leadership with Sherry Chester. Go and connect on YouTube. I love the fact that you said Carol Crockett. She is my special guest tomorrow. We're talking about how our words frame our world. And let me tell you, this woman is a powerhouse in this area. I got off the phone with her earlier this week, and I was like, ooh, that felt like a shot in the arm. It was like a power boost in energy drink. So it will be really great. I do know that I need to say this before we get off. For whoever is thinking about their day and their self, if your self-image is a little less than what it needs to be, God had just really quickened me. Psalms 34:5. This is real easy to remember. Either write it down in the chat or think 3, 4, 5. Psalms 34:5. It says this: those that look to him are radiant. Their faces are never covered with shame. If you are having a hard time in 2021, you didn't get over the past, check where you're looking. I'm telling you, that is a really good word for someone right now, and it's so strong. I knew I could not get off. Psalms 34:5. Those that look to him are radiant. Their faces are never covered with shame. If you're looking in the right place, you are going to shine bright. You're going to make change. You're going to have the progress that you want to in this year. But where you look totally matters for effective living.
That is so good, Sherry. That is so good. Thank you very, very much. Give us the link again that you suggested for persons to connect with you on YouTube.
Yes, it's Sherry Chester, Women in Leadership. It'll also be live on Facebook, so you can turn on the notifications at Sherry Lynn Chester. Good Southern name right there, Sherry Lynn Chester. I also love to do Twitter and like those little tweets, and so we'll be live on all 3 venues. Join us on the format that works best for you, but would love to see you on YouTube, because there again, it's the new way of TV. So see you there tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.
Excellent, excellent. Now, Sabrina, listen, let our viewers know how to stay in contact with Sabrina Williams. I know, listen, I love your church. I love your mission and your passion for the next generation. Let them know how to connect with you.
You can connect with me with Sabrina L. Williams. That's on my Facebook page, my Twitter page, and Instagram. I also have a website, sabrinalwilliams.com, so you can connect with me on there. And I just love helping people with their purpose. And so whether they're a children, youth leader, an adult, let's connect, and then we can discuss and just talk about your goals and where you're trying to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. I'm extremely grateful for my two guests. On Friday mornings, we try to do it a little bit different here on Effective Living. And they woke up early. You know, I mean, that's a heavy charge. We're like, oh, Lord, could Ricardo not do it at another time? No, they didn't give me no problem, no strife. They didn't send me no invoice bill for speaking or nothing. Okay, so I'm so appreciative of you both, and y'all provided such great content, and y'all connect so well together during this talk. And so thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, go back, rewatch it, write down what's for you. Don't allow this just to be information you're impressed of and buy, and look at it and then self-inspect and examine, and then ask yourself, what can I take away from this, what I just watched, to make myself better so that I can win in 2021? Because the goal is to win in every area of your life. God bless you all. Make it a phenomenal day. Love you all. Bye-bye.